He was a man consumed by delusions of grandeur, convinced destiny had chosen him for greatness. Charles Julius Guiteau believed that his small role in politics entitled him to power and recognition. But when President Garfield ignored his pleas for an appointment, his obsession turned into a deadly mission. On a summer morning in 1881, Guiteau drew his revolver and fired, setting in motion one of the most shocking assassinations in American history. What followed was not just a crime, but a tragic story of madness, ambition, and ultimate justice. Real crimes are more terrifying than any ghost story. They are born from the darkest corners of the human mind, where greed, rage, and obsession twist into acts beyond imagination. In this channel, we dive deep into these chilling true events, unmasking the truth that hides in the shadows. If you have a passion for real crime stories, subscribe and join our growing community. Don't forget to click the bell button for more real-life crime stories. Charles Julius Guiteau was born on September 8, 1841, in Freeport, Illinois. From an early age, he displayed erratic behavior and struggled with social relationships. His father, a strict man, often criticized him, and Guiteau grew up feeling rejected and isolated. He briefly attended the University of Michigan, but dropped out, unable to keep up with the workload. Searching for purpose, he bounced between failed business ventures and religious movements. Guiteau became heavily involved with the Oneida community, a religious commune known for its controversial practices. However, he quickly wore out his welcome due to arrogance, strange behavior, and his inability to cooperate with others. He believed he was destined for greatness, and even within the commune, he felt entitled to leadership. His obsession with recognition and status became a recurring pattern in his life. By the time he left, even the Oneida members considered him unstable. During his adult years, Guiteau drifted between careers as a lawyer, preacher, and writer, yet he failed at all of them. His law practice brought in few clients, and his attempts at preaching were mocked. He published a book, plagiarized from the Oneida teachings, which sold almost no copies. His family often described him as delusional, erratic, and socially inept. Despite these failures, Guiteau clung to the idea that destiny had reserved a powerful role for him. His interest soon shifted to politics during the heated 1880 presidential election. He attached himself to the Republican Party and began delivering speeches in favor of candidate James A. Garfield. Though his speech was rarely used and had little impact, Guiteau convinced himself it was a decisive factor in Garfield's victory. He believed the new president owed him a prestigious political appointment. This obsession would soon spiral into dangerous territory. When Garfield entered the White House, Guiteau hounded officials for a position, most notably as ambassador to France. His requests were dismissed, and he quickly became a nuisance. He showed up at government offices, pestering staff, and even writing letters demanding recognition. Each rejection deepened his resentment and strengthened his delusion that Garfield's refusal was a betrayal. By 1881, Guiteau had convinced himself that eliminating Garfield would save the Republican Party and the nation. On July 2, 1881, Guiteau carried out his deadly plan. At the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station in Washington, D.C., he waited for President Garfield to arrive. As the president walked inside with Secretary of State James G. Blaine, Guiteau drew his revolver and fired 2 shots. One bullet grazed Garfield, but the second struck him deeply. Pandemonium broke out as the president collapsed to the ground. Garfield was rushed to medical care, but treatments at the time were primitive and often harmful. Doctors probed the wound with unsterilized fingers and instruments, worsening his condition. For weeks, the president lingered in pain as infection spread. Newspapers across the nation reported daily updates on his declining health. The country was gripped in both sorrow and anger, while Guiteau showed little remorse. Guiteau was arrested immediately after the shooting. Rather than showing regret, he proudly proclaimed that he had acted for the good of the country. He even believed that history would celebrate him as a hero. His behavior shocked the public and confirmed suspicions that he was mentally unbalanced. Meanwhile, President Garfield clung to life for 79 days before succumbing to infection on September 19, 1881. With Garfield's death, Guiteau's crime shifted from attempted murder to assassination of the president. The public demanded justice, and Guiteau became one of the most hated men in America. His trial was scheduled for November 1881 and quickly became a media spectacle. Crowds gathered daily, eager to witness the proceedings. Guiteau relished the attention, treating the courtroom like a stage. Throughout the trial, Guiteau's bizarre behavior kept headlines alive. He frequently interrupted the judge, shouted at witnesses, and even recited poetry. At times, he broke into song, claiming divine inspiration guided him. His defense team argued insanity, pointing to his delusions and erratic conduct. However, prosecutors emphasized that he had clearly planned the assassination. The jury deliberated for only an hour before delivering their verdict. On January 25, 1882, Guiteau was found guilty of assassinating President Garfield. The courtroom erupted in cheers as the decision was read aloud. Despite the verdict, Guiteau continued to insist that God commanded his actions. He believed he would be rescued before his execution. While awaiting his fate, Guiteau wrote strange letters, poems, and even a defense of his actions, which he hoped would be published. He remained delusional, confident that history would vindicate him. Guards and doctors noted his erratic behavior, but no reprieve was granted. Public sentiment overwhelmingly demanded his execution. The government was determined to carry out the sentence without delay. On June 30, 1882, Charles Julius Guiteau was executed by hanging at the District of Columbia jail. He delivered a rambling speech before his death, quoting poetry and proclaiming that he was going to the Lord. A large crowd gathered outside, cheering when news of his death spread. His body was autopsied, and doctors found evidence of syphilis, possibly contributing to his madness. Guiteau's legacy became that of delusion, violence, and infamy. The assassination of President Garfield left a deep mark on American politics and medicine. It highlighted the dangers of untreated mental illness and the failures of medical practices of the era. Garfield's long suffering also fueled reforms in presidential security and medical hygiene. Guiteau's name became synonymous with insanity-driven violence. In history, he remains a tragic reminder of ambition warped by madness.